The last 2 times I rode this bike, I said it was one of the best e-bikes you could buy. So, 3rd year on the trot. Is Whyte's E150 still cutting it when it comes to agro trail e-biking? So, it's still a pretty radical looking bike, thanks to that rotated Bosch motor, and the battery slid all the way down in front of it. Really lowers the centre of gravity. So, I mean, there's still only really Scott who've done that on the new Patron. That's still a really innovative feature, and the difference it makes to handling is massive, as I'm hoping the switchbacks on Garburn Pass will show. But reasonable reach, 470, 64.5 degree head angle. Seat angle's a little slacker than a lot of contemporary bikes, 74.7, so that's where it's lagging a little behind in terms of the numbers. But also, that fully enclosed battery tube gives the frame excellent stiffness, and even with that little trough on the top for the cables, you've still got room for a full-size bottle. You've got the same normal, really neat white rubber gated cable covers and that classic linkage there with the yoke on the back of the shock. It's only a relatively simple RockShox Deluxe shock, not just an inline, no piggyback. This is the basic S version, so it's the cheapest one in the range, but you're still getting that Bosch Performance CX Generation 4 motor, and it's still a 625 watt-hour battery, so not the biggest, but still plenty of capacity in there. And simpler Purion controller there, but again, easy to read in a kind of Windows 95 sort of way. You still got the plus and minus for your power there, and still the same amount of power, and just your basic feedback on there. So definitely not as fancy as a Kiox or the new smart system, but then, like I say, this is the most affordable of the Whytes. And this bike is still Twin 29. They've switched from WTB to Maxxis tyres, but still very much a high grip combo. Got an Assegai max grip on the front, and then a DHR on the rear. So although it's the easiest rolling of the bike, they're not skimping on rubber grip or toughness on it. And then you've got a 27.5 option, which is the G160 and G180 with more treble. But this is the one to pick for your big climb and descend rides, I'd say, just by virtue of those bigger 29er wheels. And you can see even in eMTB mode, making short work. Is that techie climb? All right. And another thing that's nice on this bike for big open country rides is, well, from my point of view, is how quiet this motor is. And it's fully open, and it's kind of exposed on the frame from the sides just to keep it cool, and maybe that's why there's not so much resonance. But it's very quiet, even in the higher assist modes. So you can put it down to a whistle of the wind. It's not got that, all right, hoovering type noise that makes you feel like you're ruining the silence of the countryside for everyone. Well, a lot of e-bike brands kind of go, oh, it's got a motor, to hell with the pedalling characteristics. Whyte did. Come through, middle lads. Cheers. Whyte did a lot of the development work with a ballasted bike with no motor in it, mainly because they didn't have a motor at the time. So they've set the suspension dynamic up to pedal really well. So they've got a lot of tyre and traction feedback and a really good natural pedalling feel, with just a bit of a motor assist on top. You're not just flopping around deep in the travel or feeling like you're sucking it down into the shock as soon as you give it a power kick. Again, suits this kind of 29er setup really well, especially when you push past the motor like now as it levels out and all the power's on you. So this is the true test of any full source bike. Garburn Pass coming at you in the wet, always fun. And although this is called the e150. It's actually only 134mm at the back. It's a 150mm fork, so a bit of sleight of hand with the numbers there by Whyte, but hopefully that kinematic on the back means they'll have got it pretty well sorted. You alright, mate?
Yeah.
So that 134 on your right, we'll feel a bit more. I have to say, certainly feeling good so far for a relatively short travel, but then that geometry really helping. You know, although that lowered BB is most obvious on corners, it just stops the bike feeling like it's going to high side as well. And the other, right, don't know why camera switched off, but it did. So back on it now, irritating more people by overtaking them, but I have to say, where was it anyway? Yeah, Zeb fork, so is that right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right, hopefully this battery will run all the way around this sequence of corners, because this, I love these switchbacks on Garburn, and this is where that low, I mean genuinely, that low centre of gravity really helping there. That's where you'd expect some e-bikes to high side through that section, and I have to say, considering it's only short travel, it made a good fist of those drops as well. And just having that max grip assegai on the front is great for confidence, but certainly not feeling short-changed. And even that basic damper in the Zeb, I'm feeling it a bit through my hands, but I mean, have you seen how rocky it is? Not really surprising, is it? Oh, I hope someone's died, someone's killed the tyre. And like I say, just that assegai on the front. Are you right, lads? Really making a difference by how well this bike, on your right, mate, how well this bike sticks down and what it'll let you get away with, even if you do emergency unclip to dodge other riders and lose a bit of your flow. Come on, head up, Kez, let it run. And again, 29 wheels, just that bit more stable, more likely to stay on line. You got a 64-degree head angle still, 470mm. This is more blown out than it used to be. 470mm reach, so not the longest again. Whyte actually brought their reach numbers in from being one of the first brands to go properly rad with stretch on the original e146 bikes like that. So, and like I say, everyone's kind of copying them really with that in-tube battery, and even the rolled motor now is more common, but still an awesome bike. Oh, on your left, mate. Cheers, lad. For the more rowdy, radical descents, even the short travel one. Plus you've got all those typical Whyte features of extra sealing on the cables, on the seat collar, lifetime warranty suspension bearings. Just a really good, durable workhorse bike. So as you saw, passed someone with a puncture there on the trail, so probably going to take a little while to regroup down the bottom of the hill. So I'm just going to take a chance to run through the tech details on it. So full alloy frame, Whyte don't do a carbon e-bike, but you've got this, well, I mean, yeah, innovative still, but more and more, I mean, like I say, more and more brands are copying it now. This fully encased tube, so the battery slides out the bottom. It is doable at home. It's a little bit awkward. You're better off doing your Whyte dealer. So you're normally going to recharge it in situ with that little fuel cap there, but you've got that Bosch Generation 4 motor, 85 Newton meters, 340% assist, so plenty torquey, 625 watt-hour battery. And then the big changes, as to the last time I reviewed it, you've now got a max grip 3C, like top spec, Exo Plus Assegai on the front in 29 by 2.5, and then on the rear, you've got a Minion DHR 29 2.4, and that's a DD, so double down. So they've really thought about the tyre spec on this, even though it's sort of the shorter travel, more, well, I was not going to say cross-country, but more distance-minded bike. It's still got a really tough, durable rear tyre, so I'd say you can slap down stuff like Garburn Pass without worrying about it. And as you can see, even though it's really, really smooth down there, still not used full travel on the shot, because I jumped on it literally 10 minutes to go before the ride, and certainly got a bit more travel left on that Zeb as well. So considering how smooth it felt, and for only 134 mil, you know, very, very impressive. And yeah, well, that's kind of the answer, really. It's still, you know, it's been a short ride, but it's a fairly brutal one, and if anything's going to prove quickly that this bike absolutely still has it, it's the way it felt down there, and it felt absolutely awesome. So yeah, simpler interface, you know, and you know, hasn't got everything built into it like a Scott Patron, and you know, there's no Bosch Smart System bells and whistles on it, but for just a basic e-bike that does the job absolutely brilliantly, because the suspension's really sorted, the components that matter are really, really sorted, and the geometry is still, I'd still say, probably the best e-bike geometry, particularly with that low centre of gravity around. Then this Whyte e150s still absolutely has it, yeah. Third year on a row, it's had a belting review from me. So there we go. Massive thanks to Wheelbase for having me here at the demo this weekend in Staveley. This is the last run of the day for me, but hopefully see you up at Hampsterley for the second demo. They're running up there again. Similar awesome range of bikes and demo opportunities there. Definitely worth making up there for the awesome trails at Hampsterley Forest. Massive thanks to Toby at Wheelbase and Johnny for having me along. Thanks to Neil at Whyte for sorting out the bike at the last minute, swapping the battery to get me 5 bars to get me round. And yeah, thanks to Giro Cycling and PTs and Crud for sponsoring the channel. Thanks to my Patreon supporters for subscribing to the channel on a monthly basis to help with the upkeep. They get extended, exclusive and ad-free edits as a thank you. So if you really like what I'm doing with the channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon for a very small amount per month, but it makes a big difference to me and what I can do on YouTube. But regardless, click. If you subscribe to the channel anyway, that's a big help. Click for notifications to get all the other e-bikes I've ridden this weekend and other bikes coming through from other brands and tech and kit and routes and all sorts on there. Give this review a thumbs up if you liked it, and tell your mates about the channel. That's the best way to spread word of mouth. And if you see me out on the trails or at a demo event, come and say hello. I love talking to people about bikes, and get busy in the comments as well. And I'll try and answer as many questions as I can. And if I can't answer them, I'll get straight in touch with the designers and the crew at Whyte, because I know them well. And yeah, they're always keen to share their insight and their thoughts on their bikes, because they're a really, really innovative, practical brand. And as this bike proves, they produce some belting machines. But for now, I've been Guy Kestevan on Guy's Case TV in the beautiful Lake District on Whyte's affordable but still very awesome e150s e-bike. Yeah, it's all about the low BB and the low C&G. On turns like this. Foot out, flat out. Let's have it Whyte. Even on the road it feels good. Just begging you to get your bars over. So just brilliantly, dynamically balanced. There's nothing else like it in terms of slammed centre of gravity. There really isn't.